Good morning, Magic 100 listeners and Forsyth Cable viewers. Welcome to the Reporter on the Air, the #1 public affairs show in all of Monroe County. And Richard, today our buddy Don is in recovery from a procedure, we'll say, and we have a special guest in his seat. You have the Don Daniel Memorial seat there. We are joined by Matt Miller, candidate for school board. Matt, glad to have you. What'd I say?
Miller.
Matt Miller's a soccer player. I'm very much soccer player.
I'm not a soccer
Matt Morris. Good to have you, Matt.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Matt is running for District
5.
And challenging the incumbent
Mr.
Nolan Howard, the chairman of the school board. But we're glad to have you, Matt. And by the way, just a public notice, we have invited the other candidates, Nolan Howard and Phil Walker, as well as Tanya Williams, who's running for Greg. We had Greg Head last week. So we've invited all the candidates, and we hope they'll all come and tell us their plans.
Absolutely.
But Matt, you're here today, so tell us what made you decide to run for the Monroe County School Board?
Well, I guess been kind of contemplating getting involved in some of the county things and the goings on with what I do at the railroad. And so I guess, to be honest, it was as a daddy with some of the things that was going on in the system here lately. Was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back for me. Having 6 kids, making sure they're safe is kind of one of the most important things, and not just mine, but everybody's kids. Kind of got I got a heart for kids and a heart, just to make sure that we take care of our own.
Excellent. So you have how many kids right now in the Monroe County School?
We've got 4 right now. In August, our 3-year-old. Who will be 4 in August, or 4 in May, starts in August in pre-K. So starting in August, we got 5 kids in the school system.
That's certainly as they say, you are a stakeholder.
Yeah,
a multiple stakeholder.
Yeah, so I have one on the elementary campus in pre-K, one on the 6th grade campus, 6th grade, one in 7th grade at the Hubbard Middle School campus, or Ben Stevens. One on the freshman campus, and then a sophomore on the main campus. So
you got almost all the grades filled.
Yeah, so I've got, more or less, when I get elected, I've also got a way. If you have a complaint or a question, just give it to one of the kids, and they'll be home at 4 o'clock.
Lots of ways to reach Matt through the schools, through the classrooms. You've been politicking, you've been campaigning. What have you learned about running for office in the last couple of months?
Well, I'll be honest with you. It has been educational from day one. What I've really learned about this is, and I guess one of the privileges and blessings from it has been getting to meet the great people in Monroe County. And we've got a lot of passionate and wonderful people here. And, just getting out and being able to meet folks has been probably one of my favorite parts so far.
Monroe County schools have a pretty good reputation in middle Georgia. Does that make it hard for a challenger? How are you making the case to make a change?
Yeah, we do have a good school system. I don't think it's hard to make a case. With the skill set I've got from my life experience, working at the railroad and working as an engineer before that in a couple design firms. Growing up the son of a minister, living in the different locations I did growing up, I've kind of got a really kind of a hodgepodge of experience and the different things I've had the privilege of doing in the last 9 years at the railroad. Making a case is, as long as you got a skill set and a desire to make a difference and be involved, I don't think making your case is hard.
Yeah. Tell me more specifically about your railroad job. You have talked about it in your campaign, how much you're responsible for, and it's close proximity to what the school board's budget is.
Yeah, so what I do for the railroad is I work in the project management side. I cover the state of Georgia for capital projects and different industry projects with CSX.
You actually offices in Atlanta?
Yeah, my office is actually out west of Atlanta in Lithia Springs. Don't get there a heck of a lot with as much as we've got going. So, but I've been in that role with the railroad for the last 5 years now. I forgot April was my anniversary, so it's actually 5 years now. And in that time, handled over $100 million of capital money for CSX personally responsible for managing and watching budgets, handling change orders, and you know, speaking to on budget meetings and whatnot on a monthly basis. You know, and not just the budget side, but it's also managing contractors, managing construction, handling construction plans, and you know, really leading people, directing people, and you know, probably the big, you know, one of the things that correlates to the school system would be, you know, that ability to set a goal at the beginning of something and then to you know, lead through it and finish it out. You know, and how that correlates to what the school system or the board does is, you know, your board really directs and leads, sets your policies, and so you need folks there who can lead people. You need folks there who can handle the budget. The school budget for Monroe County is a very good portion of the county budget, right at $40 million, and it's a lot of money. It'd be, you know, $40 million to me and you would be pretty happy.
Yes, absolutely.
So, you know, that's something I do on a daily basis, handling that kind of money. And one thing I really kind of take pride in is I find ways to save money.
Yeah.
I try not to spend any more than I have to, and that's, you know, just like everybody else. Try to save money wherever you can.
Right. Richard covered the school board for many years, and until he said that he would actually pay me to remove him from the beat. No, I'm kidding. So what, Richard, go ahead. What questions come to your mind about being a school board member?
Well, tell me where you're from originally, Matt. That's one thing I'm mentioning.
So originally I'm from North Texas. Like I said, I grew up the son of a minister. You know, kind of the way I ended up in Georgia is my dad actually became a minister when I was 5 years old. He worked at when I was about 10, we moved to a church in Illinois, where we were there about 3 years, Central Illinois, and then he took a job in Savannah, Georgia. Ended up down there, finished high school, and that's how I ended up in Georgia.
Oh, which high school in Savannah?
Actually, it was Bible Baptist. It was a private school there, and that was a church my dad worked for.
Okay.
So, you know, since he's an employee on staff, that's kind of where you go to school.
Yeah, absolutely. Pastor's kid.
Going back to the school board, a lot of the members are long-time Monroe Countyans, and obviously the person you're running against is.
Yep.
How do you guys combat that, the
good old
feeling around here that, yeah, if you're not from here, that you don't know what's going on, like people who have been here for years and years?
You know, and I mean, I'll be honest with you, I've really not even run into that yet. I think if that is a feeling here, it's probably in a small minority. There's no one. There's been.
Look at what's happened with the county commission. We've had a lot of change.
Absolutely.
A lot of old time incumbents have been defeated. Like Barry Peters lost recently.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'll be honest. Every door I've knocked on so far, everybody, even knowing I'm not a lifelong Monroe County, has been very warm and inviting, very conversational. You know, and as far as not being here my entire life, I don't, you know, my life experience and living in different locations has given me some different perspectives and things I can bring here, the good parts of what I saw other places, and what to watch out for as far as the negative. You know, I was in the Texas public schools when the Texas public schools, when I was younger, you know, kind of were some of the greatest in the nation. And, you know, so that, you know, those kind of things equip you to be able to bring in some different perspectives and ideas. But as far as, you know, like, is it a problem not being here my entire life? I don't see it as one.
One thing about school board meetings from kind of covering them is they often think that any kind of disagreement is a negative, and that it's they really hide conflict and something and stuff like that. Would you like to not to bring back conflict, but to bring a fresh perspective? Would you be willing to challenge them publicly in some way if you don't agree with what the board whole believes?
Yeah, I don't see disagreement as something that needs to be swept under the rug.
Disagreement at a Board of Education meeting? This will not be tolerated.
And it's so often tolerated at commission meetings. That's what's strange about it. It's encouraged over there, but it's not.
You know, the way our system, the way the framers set this nation to work was for healthy debate to lead to the best the best solution for everybody. And, we should apply those same principles down to the county level. And that's one thing I've encouraged folks to do. You can go, the Facebook page I got set up is my cell number's on there, my personal email address is on there. Both of those come directly to my phone, so if you call or email that, it dings immediately on my phone.
Yeah. You'll be accessible as a school board member.
I'm highly, well, if you can't get on to me by phone or Facebook message, you wait long enough, I'll be on one of the campuses. But, healthy debate is something you ought to be very okay with as a public servant anyway. You're going to get, and growing up the son of a minister, if you've got 8 Baptists, you got 9 opinions. So you got to be used to it. If you want people to agree with you 100% of the time, it's never going to happen.
That's right. Tell me, if our listeners are hearing this and say, I'm kind of interested in this Matt Morris guy, I wonder if I can vote for him. Tell them where this district that you're running for, who will be voting in this in your particular district.
So District 5, there is a. I'm going to post a picture shortly on my Facebook page, and if you want to go catch that, you can search on Facebook. It's just Matt Morris for Monroe County Board of Education District 5, and by the time you put Matt Morris for Monroe County, it ought to pop right up. Yeah. But the boundaries on her. The western edge is a little complicated. The I think the Tawalaga River is one of the boundaries.
Okay.
It goes all the way to the edge of the eastern side of the county.
The Jones County line?
Yeah. And then all the way down to Pea Ridge Road on the south end. So, the boundary lines are a little complicated. And I've run into a lot of folks who just said, I don't even know what district I'm in.
Nobody does. I don't, yeah.
Yeah. So, that's. What I've done is instead of just explaining it every time, I've got it on my phone and I just show them where the road is and within the district is.
Yeah. If you live on Highway 18,
yeah,
that's a heavy sort of a central artery.
Yeah,
Highway 18, probably in the district between
Juliet
Forsyth and the Outmoggy River.
Yep,
and
absolutely.
If you go to the polls and have no idea, but you see Matt Morris on there,
you are in the district. Yeah. Well, if the Board of Elections always got it right.
A dead giveaway every time. Yeah.
But let's ask the most important question that people want to know. If you're elected to the school board, what will you do to improve Mary Person's football?
Well,
there's other sports that need some work.
I'll
We're going to the Final Four the last 2 years. I guess there's not much we can do there.
I love football. It is one of those things that once you play it at one point in your life, it gets in your blood.
Yeah.
And I'm a firm believer in that. And the fall Friday nights is absolutely my favorite time of the year.
Yeah.
One of my boys is a rising freshman. Has played 3 years on the middle school team. And he is avidly looking forward to his high school years, and I am too, and enjoying all that. So what can I do to make it better? I can tell you, I work him for every little bit I can.
Push him,
yeah.
Did you ask that question because Matt's running against the 4-decade statistician?
Yeah.
Well,
we'll see if he can count votes.
Well, but to kind of speak to that, this is one thing I grew up experiencing, and I would love for us to, and we do have it here to a degree. I'd like to make it better. Is in Texas, when you go to a ball game, you've got a great football team, and then, come halftime, you got a band, you got a flag team, you got a dance team, and it's just an absolute experience for 3 or 4 hours. And and I really believe in the day and age we're in here, to have a really well-rounded and really successful school, you need a good athletic program. And you also need a good band program. You also need a good, all the other things that go with it. For the kids to give them opportunities to explore their talents and abilities and find their potential. And when you can all see it come together on a Friday night and a community come out, it builds a spirit of camaraderie. And for the years we were there, going to those games are some of my favorite memories. And sitting at Dan Pitt Stadium on Friday night isn't that different. We've got a great place here for that kind of atmosphere. Absolutely. It's something I would love to foster and make even greater than what it is now.
Is there any particular, you mentioned that concerns about your kids and safety. Is there any particular things that the school board has done that you think could be done differently?
Yeah, I do. The hiring the child molester as a substitute teacher is the one that is fresh in everybody's minds, and that of course upset quite a few folks in the county.
That we reported it?
No.
Oh, they were actually upset about the below. Okay.
No, they're upset at the hiring.
Okay.
Haven't even come across one person said they were upset you reported it.
Well, I've come across one or two, mostly in the same family though. So.
But the thing there is, for whatever oversight it was, it's something that needs to be corrected and prevented from ever happening again. And there's some things you can definitely do to do that. As far as the other things go, we've had some issues with a couple threats on the high school, on the campuses. And I think there's definitely some things that need to be done there. And the safety of our kids is something that we don't need to take for granted. We don't need to underestimate. I was having a discussion with somebody and talked about, we need to be proactive. And I got the question, said, well, how proactive can you be? And I just told him frankly that, you find out how proactive you really can be. You try to think of everything you can ahead you prepare for the worst, hope for the best. And the sad part is, in the day and age we live in, when you prepare for the worst, you've got a lot of things you have to prepare for. And to that end, it's things I've done at the railroad. I've helped secure some of the biggest yards on the system with security plans, active shooter plans, some evacuation plans. So that's something also too I'm no stranger to. And coming in a background from a structural engineer too, understanding how buildings lay out and the means of egress, and those are all things that I'm familiar with and anxious to get in there and kind of make a difference with.
Well, I'm not in favor of arming teachers, but Will is. Where do you stand on that as potential?
I guess you saw last night that the Lawrence County Board of Education has approved allowing teachers to be trained and undergo some testing, and they can be armed to protect the kids. What do you think about that?
I'll be honest with you. It is something I think you need to discuss thoroughly, consider all your factors. If you can do it, and you have teachers who, with a background to where they can handle a firearm, they're comfortable handling a firearm, can go through a background check and go through psychological testing. But I believe it's something that we ought to explore, and it's something I would not be opposed to, because God forbid, if we have that incident where we have an active shooter on say the high school campus, we have a great police force here. We have great sheriffs and great police in town. They can't be there immediately.
Yeah, school resource officer might be at the freshman campus when the main campus has a...
Exactly.
It's a long ways away.
Well, if you're being shot at, it is.
And we have...
Pow, pow, hold on, he'll be here in 5 minutes.
Yeah, they're not going to take a timeout where everybody gets a...
Can you wait until the resource officer gets here?
Yeah, this ain't a Nerf war in the backyard, where you wait on your buddy to reload his bullets.
Call it a Kool-Aid timeout.
And so... that's the thing. It's not about trying to, and I've read the criticisms about this, and I understand that, and I understand where people are coming from. But, and this is speaking as a daddy too. I would rather have people I know we can trust in that school who are armed and ready to protect our kids. In the event that the police cannot get there and respond quick enough, the quickest way to stop an active shooter is to put him down.
Well, if that ever gets considered, can I make a list of educators I know that I don't want to have guns for?
Well, that'll be his job if he wins.
And I'll be honest, I know that's kind of a polarizing issue right now with guns in the schools and whatnot, but frankly, if that is something that would make our kids safer, absolutely.
Yeah, we'll have to talk to your opponent and see how he feels about that. We're always looking for ways to draw distinctions between candidates and see which one more aligns with our views. And the readers, our listeners may have their own views, and they can see
Yeah.
which one of you line up. So we'll have to ask. Hopefully, Mr. Howard will come visit. We can ask him, and then, of course, we want to go ahead and promote while we're talking about it. April 30th, the big debate, 6 o'clock at Alderman Hall here in the city. That's a Thursday night, I believe. No, Monday night. Monday night. It's the first day of early voting in this race, which will finally be, if you will, consummated on May the 22nd.
Mhm.
So, anyway, we've got a few moments left. Matt, anything else? Richard, do you have any more questions for Matt? One thing that I raise every school board election, there are some school boards that have implemented a drug testing policy for athletes. And the thinking goes that the school system is investing money in coaches and
We gotta wait one
equipment.
more year. We got a really good football team.
Don't do it yet. So, would you, we talk a lot about, there's a lot of studies that show that drug use is prevalent among teenagers. Well, if you can make them know that there'll be random drug testing of athletes, it might give another incentive for them to say no to drugs. Would you be in favor of that kind of thing?
Yeah, that's definitely something I don't think I would be opposed to. I think in hand with that too, I think something else we probably need to explore there and talking with a couple of law enforcement folks. I think we also need to probably do a better job of educating our kids as far as that goes because, drugs are something that, they're constantly evolving and constantly changing. And that's one of those things you just have to be honest about. The folks that have that kind of paraphernalia and substance, they're not getting their money unless they're finding ways to sell it to you. And so it's going to constantly evolve and constantly change. So that means you really, another area, you've got to be extremely, almost rabidly proactive. And you need to educate, you really need to make an emphasis on educating our kids. And, especially too, if you're an athlete, they need to understand that you put this kind of stuff in your body, what it does to your body. There may be some short-term benefits, for a season or for a year. But sometimes the damage it does, and normally the damage it does has lifetime consequences. When I was in high school and I played ball, played down in Savannah, there's a couple, pretty big private schools down there that have some very good, or at the time had very good football programs, and it was a known fact, just in discussion between kids, there were some kids there that took substances to enhance their abilities, and now I can tell you for a fact there's a handful of them that are reaping lifetime consequences from it.
Yikes.
And
Which are what?
some of them, it's impaired mental ability, there's some physical impairment from it. That those are not, and kids need to understand that, you're giving a permanent solution to a short-term problem.
Yeah.
Since you have a lot of kids in the school system, you know more about, I'm sure, about the curriculum than I do, and you follow that too, and written a lot of columns about it. One of the other challengers, Greg Head, he removed his children from the school system and homeschooled because he had concerns about the curriculum. How do you feel about what they're doing now?
I know they've made some tweaks to it. There's still quite a bit I'm not really pleased with there. For an instance, the math is still, it bothers me the way it's being taught. With my background, with an engineering degree, I've done a lot of math in my day, more than I care to talk about. And math for a lot of kids is already confusing and a struggle as it is. And anytime you make it more difficult, you discourage kids. You set them back behind the 8 ball, and you make them feel like, well, I'm not smart enough to do this. Well, that's not the case, And so, any curriculum, and just using math as an example, we need to make sure we're teaching it as well as we can to make sure that we're not giving a child a different idea of something that, I'm not good at this. Well, it may not be you're not good at it. Maybe we're telling you the wrong way to do it. And the other fear, like is math, and as an example, is when you get, and we've got some great kids in this system here that could go places like a Georgia Tech or an Auburn or an Alabama with good engineering programs, and you get there, and the amount of math you have to do immediately when you come in that door, and you've been taught this one way to do it. These college professors are not teaching it the way you're we're teaching it at a middle and high school level. And so now we've set this kid up for failure at a place he's going to succeed,
Right.
or he or she. And so that, that's one of my concerns here, because I know how tough it is, when you go into a place like that. You're going in there for for an advanced degree, and really it doesn't need to be any tougher than what it already is.
Mm-hmm.
The several school board members, I don't know how many. Do you know how many current school board members have relatives that work for the school system?
Oh, no, I'm kidding.
I'll be honest with you. I don't know how many school board members have the exact number of how many have relatives working for the school board system. I know some do, which you can do properly.
Do you have any relatives that work for the school system?
No, I don't. My sister and her husband live out here in Georgia, and they're up in Locust Grove.
The answer's at least 3. Just off the top of the head. I think it may be 4 or 5, but
I know Priscilla and Nolan and Phil have family members.
I wasn't sure about JP.
Yeah.
JP's got nephews.
Yeah.
Like,
Relatives,
yeah,
for sure.
relatives,
Yeah.
yeah.
So my family.
So your only relationship to the school system is through your children, the
Yeah.
students, rather than people getting paid with jobs.
That's right.
Interesting.
So
Crazy.
This has never happened before.
Yeah, it does. It gives me.
Well, we do. We have one board member, Stuart Pittman, has children in the school system.
Yeah, Stuart does.
I think he's the only one.
Eva.
And Eva.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he
Has
does.
Yeah, child.
But yeah, and it does. It does give me the ability to be extremely objective and kind of remove myself.
A different
from my arena.
perspective.
Absolutely.
Your kids are bringing home the curriculum that they're
Yeah.
teaching. So
And and any well-rounded board needs different perspectives.
right.
If you look at, and that's a question I've had a lot too, knocking on doors, is, well, what does a board really do, or what does a school board really do? It's not all that different than a corporate board.
Yeah.
You need people from varied backgrounds, varied perspectives to get a very well-rounded and balanced board for direction.
Let's go back to the map a little bit. We talked what roads? We talked about Highway 18 between the interstate and the Otmoggy River is District 5. Jenkins Road, would that be part of this district?
Jenkins Road is P Ridge,
Road,
Rumble, Juliet,
Lee King.
Highway 87,
Joe Chambers.
Joe Chambers.
That's where Nolan lives.
Okay.
There's
He is in the district.
Yeah,
He is in the district.
portion of Monroe.
Let's get him to verify.
To my I don't know Mr. Howard personally.
I got a
so-
vet one time that suggested that he may not live in his district. We'll have to look into that.
Yeah,
Unless it's changed, he has always lived in the
Yes,
district.
that's
I don't know
right.
if the map changed. That's what you told me the other day.
They
The
said-
map might have changed.
They
That's a
said
good
his
point.
business. They said his business address is in the district. So we'll have to look at it. You hear a lot of things that are out there.
Unless the line moved recently, he's been
Yeah.
in his district the whole time.
And no, and I can't speak to that, and I'm not even gonna go there or address it because
Yeah.
that's just
That's
frankly be wrong to do.
That's right. That's our job to look into these things, and we'll find out.
Yeah, and as far as I know, he does, and that's fine. Those are kind of your main arteries through there. And if you live on Bunn Road actually is part of the southern boundary, so that one is a little tricky too. I think
You live right off of Monroe Road.
I
on
do,
the north
yeah.
side of it.
I sure do. And on the north side of Bunn Road, you're definitely in District 5. On the south end, it's a kind of
Stuart Pittman's district, right?
So, yeah, somewhat till you get down to the kind of southwestern edge of Bunn Road right there. It gets interesting.
Yeah, these districts were drawn after the 2010 census, and we're coming up, it's hard to believe, in 2 years on a new census, and then I guess we'll get to draw them all over again. And so this, they usually don't get that done until 2022. So since you are, this is a 4-year term that you're running for.
Yeah.
So this will probably be the last time, if you win, you'll probably have a different district when you run in 4 years. You ever thought about that?
That could be a possibility.
Most of our growth, the population is on that's part of the county. So
it is definitely booming down there. A lot of young families coming in.
well, we are out of time, Matt. Thank you for joining us on the Reporter on the Air, and we'll look forward to hearing from all the candidates. And then, of course, please come to the debate on April 30th, the first day of early voting. Richard, Matt, we enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank y'all for having me.
Have a good week, everybody.